Hey guys, welcome to my next video. Today, I'm going to basically be reviewing the legends for season 9, since season 10 is about to come out, and then I'm going to do a video once that releases of like all the changes to the legends and everything. But basically, if you're about to get into Apex before season 10 drops, this is the video for you, because not only will I be ranking the characters, but I'll be explaining their loadouts and the best way to use them. So first off,
it was not my time.
First we have Bloodhound. Bloodhound was a very favorite legend of mine back in the early days of Apex, in like season 0 all the way up to season 2, I think. But basically, Bloodhound's passive. If people are walking by or they're doing something like they heal, if they step on the ground, if they heal, if they shoot a gun, any of that, those are notified in like little tracks for up to 90 seconds until they fade away for Bloodhound, and then they could ping those and basically be like, hey, someone was healing here not too long ago, so they're probably still nearby or stuff like that. Basically gain information in a fight. Their tactical is called Eye of the Allfather. Basically what it does is, as far as you can see your screen, it shows like a little almost cone-like effect. And in that cone, it will reveal enemies, it will reveal traps. Basically, it'll reveal any non-environmental things. And it has about an 18-second cooldown, I believe, which is not bad. But then next, we're going to be getting into what I think is really sweet, which is... one sec. Okay, 25 seconds. Forgive me, but we're going to be doing something that, if you use it right, it can definitely be kind of overpowered. Alright, and then next, finally but not least, this one takes quite a while to get up, but when it is, it's super powerful. It's called Beast of the Hunt. So basically what ultimate that Bloodhound has is that you activate it, it takes a little bit, but you're able to see enemies highlighted in red along with their traps, of course. You're going to be able to see through smokes. Your scans are going to come back in 8 seconds instead of 25, which is a huge upgrade. And so on and so forth until basically for about 30 seconds. And not to mention, when you knock or kill an enemy, it gives you a bit of extra time. I think like 5 seconds extra. You also gain improved movement speed. You gain improved vision. It's just a really cool ultimate for finding enemies, and if you're about to go into like a 3-person fight, you're definitely gonna have that handy. It'll give you an edge in a fight. But overall, I give Bloodhound an A tier. They're not overpowered, but they're still extremely strong in the right hands of someone who knows how to use them, but also somebody new can just pick them up and learn how to play them pretty well. And with that, we have Bloodhound. Next up, we have Gibraltar. Now, here's the thing about Gibraltar. Gibraltar's basically your tank. He is extremely big, if you can't tell. In fact, he has the biggest hitbox in the entire game. He's pretty tall. And he's definitely knows how to take a couple shots along with some defenses to help him take those couple shots. So first off, let's start with his passive, which I'm gonna actually have to grab a gun here. Let's just grab a flatline. But basically, when you aim down sights while using a gun, it pops a little arm shield up. You can turn it on and off. But basically, what the arm shield does, it covers the top half of your body, and it essentially gives you an extra 50 health that you can take in. Not to mention, it comes back after a short period of time of breaking, which is pretty nice, and honestly, I think it's really powerful with Gibraltar. Now, if you do damage to it, it's not, and it has like the shield has 1 health left, and you hit it with like a Kraber or something, it's not going to tank the whole Kraber shot. Instead, it's just going to remove of that extra 1 health that it has and break the shield, and then basically it'll be the Kraber shot -1 since it had 1 health. But next up, we use Gibraltar's dome shield. Basically, he launches a dome on the ground, and it's similar to Winston in Overwatch, where it's just a giant dome around you that could take infinite amount of damage. People can go in or out. But it pairs really well with his ultimate, defensive, I'm using air quotes here, defensive bombardment, because this is what it does. It's literally just a bombardment that does 40 damage to people. Each rocket on collision does 40 damage to them, and gives them like a mini stun effect almost. Gibraltar's pretty nice. If you're looking, I've got Gibraltar B tier for newer players. If you're looking for like a defensive character, like someone who can tank a bunch of shots for your teammates, Gibraltar's definitely your guy for it, but it definitely takes a while to get it used to his large hitbox, and when's the right time for, or a shield, and when's the right time for a bombardment. Overall, it's just gonna be more of learning when you need to use your abilities and learning how to deal with his large hitbox. But with that, we have Gibraltar. Next up, we have Lifeline. Now, Lifeline is basically the entire medic of the game. Like, they are the only person that has like healing like devices, like Wattson, who we're going to be getting into later, slowly gives you shields. But like when it comes to actual medic stuff, Lifeline's the only character in the game that can do that. And what they can do is that when people get knocked in this game, normally when you revive them, it just takes a bit. You just stab them with a syringe and pull them up. But with Lifeline, you can do that in the same amount of time with a drone, but you don't have to be there. You can actually move around and still shoot people while reviving your teammates. It used to be where there's a shield when you do that, and they just do it really fast, and that the time it takes for her to heal, it was really fast, but they clearly removed that because that's a bit more overpowered for self-sustaining characters. It's supposed to be with a team. And then their tactical is that you basically, one second, I'm just going to grab a thermite and poke in so that you can understand it better. Basically, you take a bit of damage. Let's just say your health is getting pretty low. I'm just going to cut that part out. Okay, note to self. Be careful, don't use thermites when trying to give a demonstration about health, and use thermites more often in game. But basically, you grab something, let's just say you take a bit of health. You take a bit of health damage, it's not going to be too much, but yeah, about like half your health, let's just say that. You can, instead of like going over and taking like 5 minutes to use a med kit to fully heal up, if you're in the middle of a you can use your tactical, which is a healing drone. It's got about a 45-second cooldown, but it slowly regenerates your health pretty fast, I might say, actually. It's like as much as a syringe, and you can still move around and do stuff, and then all 3 members can use it, but also be aware because other players can use it that aren't, let's just say, so friendly. It does go away after a while. It can take damage and be destroyed, and it will be destroyed 3 ticks in the ring. And then we got Lifeline's ultimate, which recently became pretty powerful actually, because it was the worst ultimate in the game up until now. But basically, Lifeline can call in a mini care package, because the care packages in the game, they have things like shield, armor, attachments, even certain guns. But this one is basically the same thing except guns, so you can get shields, you're always going to get heals, and then you're always going to get 2 upgrades, whether it's for your equipment, for your guns, or your armor and such, that are going to be upgrades to your current gear unless they're all maxed out. In which case it's just going to be like this slot right here that's always going to be medical supplies. But with that, we have Lifeline. Next up, we have Pathfinder, which is one of my personal favorite legends. Definitely in the top 3. If anything, they're probably my favorite legend. Pathfinder is really fun. Even though his passive is pretty underwhelming, if you learn how to use his tactical really good, it can definitely be a lifesaver, along with his zipline, which can get an entire squad out without much problem. And that's a Valk tactical. We will talk about that later. But first of all, Pathfinder's passive ability. So basically there's respawn beacons around the map that any recon based character can use, so people like Valk, who we're also going to get into later, as I just mentioned, Bloodhound, Pathfinder himself, but basically, like, Raycon Legends, they can use a thing called a survey beacon, and basically when they scan it, and it shows the next ring location, as long as it already isn't revealed on the map. Pathfinder, when he does that, he will get his ult instantly, and for the entire match, his ult will be on a 10-second decreased cooldown, which I believe it's already like 60 seconds, so about a minute, I believe. I can't confirm or deny that, but basically his tactical is pretty cool. So basically there's going to be this thing in the middle of your screen. It's going to be like a little blue dash dot, and basically it's going to be white most of the time, but if you can use his tactical on something, it'll turn blue and kind of slide in, and then it launches a zip line that will throw you around. It's not like a Widowmaker zip line where it just launches solo. And basically, depending on the distance and how long you use it, it'll have a different cooldown. So for example, that was quite a long tactical, so it took 27 seconds. I believe it can go up to about 30 seconds, but I think the minimum is 12 seconds if you use it pretty short, but you can just use it to get on top up is something. You can use it to get over something. If you just don't like stairs, you can just get up there super fast. It's pretty dang sweet. You can just use it and then get it to cover a lot faster than most other characters, and there's like a 10-second cooldown for it if you just use it in a simple situation like that. I just took the high ground and I'm in good defense, and in case I need to push, like I can use it again pretty quick and get to other things. Like I can get over here instead if I get compromised, and I get another 11-second cooldown. And then if you need to move around super fast, you can use his his ultimate, the zipline launcher. You'll launch this, and for the rest of the match, it creates a permanent zipline that you or enemies can use. So you can just go back and forth on this. I think it's like 60 seconds, 50 seconds. Not to mention, whenever you use a survey beacon, you can, for the rest of the game, it has a 10 extra second cooldown. So I've had games where it's like 30 seconds until I got it. And the thing's pretty powerful if you just want to get your squad up to something. And if you have a Caustic or something, you can put a trap behind it, so when they try and follow you, it'll trigger the trap. Caustic we'll get into in a bit, but in the meantime, that is Pathfinder. I definitely recommend getting a check. Oh yeah, Lifeline I'd say is A tier. If you're just looking for a medic that you can just simply do, that's nice and everything. Your drone's really easy, but when it comes to defending, reviving, and overall luck with the care package, that's just going to be up to you guys. But with that, Pathfinder, I give S tier. He's not overpowered, don't get me wrong. It's more depending on how you use him, but he's a very versatile and good legend. He has the third biggest hitbox in the game, I believe. I don't know, I just remember that being the case. You can grapple onto enemies, yes. You can actually grapple onto enemies. They won't just die immediately like that. Those are just drones like that. But it deals no damage, and you can actually grapple onto enemies and pull them into you if you just want to get into like a shotgun fight or a fist fight or something. It's pretty nice, but with that, Pathfinder is done. Next up, we have Wraith. Now, Wraith has been iconic through all of Apex since the day one launch. Wraith has been known as one of the most OP, one of the most sweaty, one of the most thirsty characters in Apex Legends. I can see why they say that, because Wraith has a very small hitbox. Even then, like, her hitbox is pretty small. It's not like Lifeline's or Wattson's hitbox. But it's still pretty dang small. People are going to have a hard time hitting you. Not to mention, speaking of not hitting, first up we have Wraith passive, which is very underrated. Which basically, like, whenever a new person from a new squad or something aims in your direction, whether it be with a sniper or a shotgun, or as long as you're not engaging with them, it'll give you a small notification. Like, you'll hear Wraith's voice saying something like, you've been spotted, or there's a sniper nearby or something, and then you can click a button and warn your team. Hey man, it's like, hey, I think there's a shooter or something, but you can basically know that someone's aiming at you, and then you can just move around really quick and get into cover so you don't get shot instead of it being too late. You'd rather have that now than get hit by a Kraber or something. And then Wraith passive is called Into the Void, so basically you use it. It takes a bit to charge up, but once you do, you get a 30% increased movement speed. You can still see like a streak behind her. It has a 35-second cooldown, but you can see a purple streak behind her, so you know where she's going, but you basically become invulnerable for a short period of time, along with enemies being lightly highlighted in the weird purplish color. This is one of the most famous parts, as it was instant in earlier seasons. But if you just need a quick getaway, or you're behind cover and you just need to do something and you don't want to take damage until you swap cover or something, the tactical is going to be the most effective way of doing that. They're going to know that you're swapping cover, but they do that with any legend. And then we're also going to be looking into Wraith's ultimate as soon as I get it. Be back in a sec. Alright, we have Wraith's ultimate, which is basically a portal. If you guys have played Overwatch, it's basically like that one chick's, I can't remember her name, but it's basically a portal from one place to another that you can use. And it's pretty nice. Like, if you just use this, you get the ripped energy, which is basically like a notification of how far you go. You can only go for so far. Once it's done, you can stop at any time, but that's about how far it goes, and then it will follow your trail back. So yeah, it just follows the exact trail that I went through to make the portal, and I can just go back and forth how many times I like. It stays up there for quite a while, actually. It's really helpful for if you just they can see you going back and forth though. It's really nice for you and your squad to switch between cover, or if you want to get to another vantage point with it. It's pretty nice. But overall, just Wraith's abilities are basically like getting from one place to another without taking the least amount of damage as possible, and she's definitely very effective with that. I give her S tier. Yeah. She's not as good as she used to be earlier in the games. Oh my god, she was so overpowered. Everybody was using her. But she still is really powerful. I'd say she's pretty balanced at the moment, actually. This is like one of the earlier times we've seen Wraith being balanced. I don't think she needs any changes, any reworks or anything. I think she's perfectly fine where she is, at least until the meta changes or something. But in the meantime, that's Wraith. Next up, we're getting into our last of the 6 original Apex Legends characters, Bangalore. Now, I know what you're saying. There were 8 legends at drop, but only 6 of them you get right off the bat. The rest of them you can either pay with Apex coins, which cost real money, or as you level up you get something known as legend tokens, which you can use for like skins of like legendary skins that you already have for legends and guns. Or if you save up 12,000, which is maybe like 20-ish levels, then you can get one of the legends for free. You get to pick which one as well, which I'm going to be getting into the rest, but when it comes to those you get at level 1 in the game, this is the last one, Bangalore. Basically a military soldier, if you can't tell from the, I don't know everything about her, but her passive includes when you are being shot at by an enemy, your movement speed increases quite a bit, actually, so you're able to get to cover a lot easier. If you're in a gunfight, you're going to have slightly higher mobility than your enemy, which is pretty nice to have. It's never a bad thing to have increased mobility in this game, especially because especially in a game like this, in Titanfall, where mobility is everything in this game. It doesn't matter as much about speed, but learning to like move around and stuff, you're gonna need to learn that if you want to survive to first place in a game like this. But basically that's her passive. Her tactical, it has 2 charges, but it's called a smoke launcher, so basically you get a little thing on. You don't need to charge up or anything, you can just pop it instantly if you want to. And basically when you shoot it somewhere, it launches 3 little smokes, which create like a wall of smoke. The only thing that can see through it is Crypto's drone, which we're going to be getting to. into Pathfinder's drone, and basically anything that can go through it. But when you're in it, it's pretty hard to see, actually. Like, you can only see a bit in front of you. Like, if you pop it on there. Hitting someone directly does 8. But yeah, once you're actually in it, it's really hard, especially normal games. Well, you can kind of just see everything because this is training grounds. But it's going to be super hard to see through it. You can go through it. Basically, if you just need to conceal yourself and finish off a med, or you need to revive a teammate or something. Like if you're a Battlefield 5 veteran and you really like medic, you can just use this, go in and revive somebody really quick, use some heals, and then get out, and they won't know where you are. And then we get to Bangalore's ultimate, which is artillery strike. You basically, it's similar to Gibraltar's, but not really. Basically what you do is you throw it down, and right on that little smoke, right on it and forward, it creates like a line of about, I think, like 8 rockets that all fall, and then they have a delay, and then it all hits, which creates a really good stun effect and 40 damage to anyone who's in it. You can still avoid it, but basically, like, the major thing is, like, hey, you don't want to be in it, or you're going to be at a large disadvantage. I like it. I think it's very underrated. Also, the smoke does about 10 damage on hit. So, like, if somebody's, like, literally one shot, you can just pop it really quick, similar to a Revenant attack, which we're going to be getting into a bit. But yeah, Bangalore for newer players. I would say I'd say Bangalore overall is B tier. A tier, like whether you're experienced or just getting into the game, I would say Bangalore is a pretty solid pick. Her tactical is very nice to have. It's kind of like a crutch. Her passive, but her tactical is also pretty nice to have because you're probably gonna be taking damage a lot. Because, let's be honest, unless you're hacking or something, your aim's not going to be god tier at the beginning, so you're going to be taking quite a bit of damage, or you just need to escape, and her tactical does that really well. Not her passive, oh my god, I am stupid, sorry. Her ultimate, if you use it right, you can keep people away or make them take a different route, and it can be really powerful if someone's caught in it. That's like the perfect time to push. And overall, you can just hit people pretty hard with it. And Bangalore is really good at like making people not know where you are or keep your distance or stuff, and basically let you do what you want to do, which is really nice for newer players. And I would overall recommend Bangalore for any like for anybody who comes from like COD or the Battlefield games or whatnot. She's a pretty solid pick. She's like the basic military in a way, and I enjoy playing her pretty often actually. And that's all I can say about Bangalore. Next, we have Caustic. Now, Caustic, or Gas Daddy, or whatever you want to call him, has the second largest hitbox in the game. He's also pretty chunky. Oh yeah, I also forgot. So it's basically Gibraltar and Caustic. They both have something called Fortified, so they take 15% less damage, I think. 10%, I can't remember. But basically, Caustic's abilities include his passive, which is that he can see and bruise through his gas and basically have no effect on it besides some vision impairment. But overall, well, a lot of people don't know what that means because, well, what do you mean by gas? Well, that gets into his tactical with his gas traps. Basically, his gas traps look like this. And they have not that bad of a cooldown. They have like a 25-second cooldown. And each one, they just spawn there. They kind of just sit there. You can pick them back up and get the charge back. You can also shoot this little red spot right here, like the little red under here and the pin, and it'll pop down. But basically, if you're an enemy and this goes off... Oh my god, I gotta grab a gun. Let's just grab a flatline again. And basically, if someone shoots it or an enemy walks by it, it'll trigger, dealing 5 damage to the enemy on health directly. It doesn't affect their armor. It can just go straight to their health. So if they're in here for a good amount of time, it can kill them. Like if they're in here for the whole tactical, they lose 70 of their health. So health, and no, it doesn't stack, but it's still really nice if you just need to deal some good damage and keep them away. They're slow, their vision is impaired, and basically they just can't really do anything but get out, which is the whole point of it. It's not supposed to be it's dangerous if you get into it, which is not like you want to do. But overall, Caustic is known as kind of a camper, except you can use his abilities aggressively. I do it all the time, and especially his ultimate, which is a gas grenade, which is basically one of his traps snapped to a frag grenade. It creates a larger area than the traps, like all three of the traps put together, basically, of the gas, and it does the same thing, but you can throw it farther. It's on instant, so you don't have to wait for somebody to go by. So if you just need to blanket a large area and get people out of it, Caustic's your guy. If you're really into like corralling enemy players, or really into just almost like keeping people out of sections, like Clown from DBD, okay, then Caustic is going to be your character for it. Overall, I give Caustic I give him like a B or A tier. He's pretty good if you know how to use his gas and put him in the right spots. They can block doors and such, which is pretty nice. His ultimate is pretty easy to use, but when it comes to like the placement of his gas traps and being able to work with 3 traps before you have to wait 25 seconds to get another one, and when it comes to just making sure that you're covered, Caustic got you, but he's not exactly the easiest for beginning. It takes a bit of practice, but overall, that is Caustic for you.
Here I come, Mirage to the rescue. After being rescued, thanks for that.
Next up, we have Mirage. Now, Mirage is known in Apex as one of the worser legends. He wasn't very popular for a while until his reworks when it came to his decoys. But basically, he's pretty good now. His kit includes a passive, which when he's respawning players at a respawn beacon, or he's reviving someone, when he's invisible, along with being invisible and creating a mini dramatic decoy when downed, so you can basically get it away pretty nice, and it's overall just pretty nice with helping your team. And then his tactical is a decoy. It runs at a decent speed. It's slower than normal, but basically it just runs in the line that you choose and does your current action, unless you press a button, and your decoy can mimic what you do to make it more like a player. Now, it can't shoot or anything, don't get me wrong, but it'll do like all the animations and stuff that you do. It's not like you could just run by with this thing, turn around and like turn it on and off at any time, but it's not like you can just go up to somebody with the decoy and have them do the damage for you. It's not like you could just look, it'll do the animation, but it's not like it's actually dealing any damage. And yes, it has footprints. You can hear the footsteps of it, and it's overall pretty nice, actually. It's pretty underrated. It can be spotted pretty easily. The AI is pretty dumb for it, but so is the overall AI of this sometimes. It's a pretty nice tactical, actually, if you're really into tricking people. Then the ultimate is basically a mini bunch of tacticals. I think it's called Life of the Party, but it makes you invisible for a bit, and then it creates like a bunch of decoys that mimic your exact action. So if you just need to heal, or you just need to use these guys as cover and break like the opponent's shields or something, you can temporarily create a bunch of those. They can still shoot you, they can still see you, but it's still pretty nice to have. Overall, I give Mirage a C tier, actually, because even though his abilities sound kind of basic, they can be pretty hard to master, and anyone can just point in a direction and click a button. But in order to make it convincing, since when people shoot your decoys, it reveals their location to you in a little indicator. Anyone can just point and when you shoot it, but in order to make it realistic, you have to worry a lot about timing. But overall, if you're really into tricking your enemies, making them confused, are you switching cover, are you not switching cover? Because you can create a decoy in one direction. It only has like a 12-second cooldown. You could create it. Alright, let's get into a position. So basically, let's say you're right here. You are in cover and you know you're going to get pushed, so you need to make a move. You can essentially shoot a decoy this way and run the other way, and they're going to have to choose which one to shoot. And if they shoot the wrong one, you can keep moving and get into cover without them knowing, and that just saves you a free push, plus you get it back in like 4 seconds in that situation. Their ultimate's pretty nice if you're in the middle of a tough situation. Overall, when it comes to trickery, Mirage is definitely your go-to character.
Now that was awesome!
Next up, we have the Apex Legends Daredevil, the first legend that was newly released to the game in Season 1, Octane. Now, Octane is basically like, as he would say, rapido, which is basically, I'm gonna move fast and hurt myself at the same time. So basically what Octane's abilities are is that he has a passive, which is basically like a mini drone, like a mini Lifeline drone in a way. Like he gains a bit. As long as he's not taking damage, after a bit, you'll notice in my health bar that a bit after taking damage, he'll slowly start to regenerate his health. So you don't have to. So like if you just got out of a fight, you can worry about your shields before or your health and slowly overwork it. And basically, it's a free med, which pairs pretty well with his tactical syringe, like his stim syringe, which basically like it increases your movement speed in your field of view for a short period of time. It's got a 1 second cooldown, but it takes about 20% of your health directly, not your shield or anything. But overall, if you just need it in like a quick clutch, you can use it like that. It's gonna drain through your health if you use it too much, so just don't. Also, I'm sorry about the noise in the background. And then his ultimate is, after 90 seconds, you can create a launch pad. Now, the launch pad can do two things. If you're standing up when you go into it, it launches you high in the air. Each one has a double jump, by the way. Launches you high in the air, not that far, but still pretty high. And then if you slide or crouch into it, you don't go that high, but you go pretty dang far. Plus, you can double jump at any time. So if you're into Titanfall or Titanfall 2, you'll be able to learn how to do the double jump timing pretty quickly and get even farther or get in the right spot with it. And it's overall a pretty nice start, especially if you're using Horizon, who we'll get into later. Overall, his two abilities are basically like, I'm gonna go that speed and going as far and as fast as possible. So basically, if you just want to get in or out of a fight as fast as all high hell, like the devil's chasing right behind you, go with Octane. He's going to be your twin, basically. And with that, we conclude the high-speed Daredevil. I would give it a tier. They nerfed his pad recently for the timing and just overall, like how much health he takes for a syringe. But overall, if you know how to time your abilities right, or you just know if you know how to time his syringes right, and you know when and or how to use his pad, it's pretty basic. You can just use it if you need a push or if you need an evac really quick, like you're getting shot at. You can just throw your pad down, slide down, and get far away so that you can pop like shield cells or something. They're probably going to be doing the same, but that doesn't matter as much. The tactical you can use in a clutch to get an increased speed, like Bangalore's passive ability, except you don't have to be shot at. If you just need to like run away really quick, or you need to get an increased movement and then fight, Octane's your guy. His stim's really nice. His passive is basically a free syringe after a while, and his jump pad's pretty nice for engaging or disengaging fights. Overall, I think Octane's pretty good, actually.
Good to be back.
Next up, we have the little French girl herself, Season 2 legend Wattson. Now, Wattson is very underrated. Look, she may look cute and everything on the outside, like a little itty bitty. Even her little emote, it's just, cute, like she's a little ballerina or something. It's adorable, but her abilities are pretty powerful. It's just not a lot of people like it because, well, I'm just gonna up and say it. She's kind of boring to play. There's going to be some changes. There's some stuff cooking in the oven for season 10, but in the meantime, she's kind of boring, actually. So basically what it does is ultimate accelerants, most of the time, they decrease like 10-ish, 20 seconds of your thing. But basically you can carry 2 ultimate accelerants in 1 slot of your backpack. And ultimate accelerants, no matter if you're like 99% or 1%, it will fully charge out your ultimate. And if you place your ultimate down, it's a little pylon. So basically there's going to be like this blue spot around the pylon. Last time I checked, it's only up for a short period of time, so remember that. But yeah, there's a mini radius, but basically it's going to recharge your shields while you're inside of it. As long as you're inside out of it. And that's another thing. So like, let's say for your passive, yeah, we still have a while. Let's just say you want to throw like a Bangalore Gibraltar thing in it, or you're using fuse, or you just want to throw some grenades in there. It'll stop the grenades mid-air and they will not do anything. It's basically the entire anti-fuse, since his abilities is entirely grenades. But it also increases the charge time of your 4 or electric pylons, which are basically your fences. And it does 15 damage on contact. It'll notify you if you're looking somewhere else. It'll notify you. Are you with that? You can create them pretty far. I'm just gonna do here, and then yeah, there's like a little blue line, and there's a line right there for how far. Yeah, you can create one that far. You can link them all up, and you can get pretty big with it. There's the blue line around there, which is like the max.
I'm fencing.
But overall, this thing can go pretty dang far.
Planting fences.
This thing can definitely take a quite an area of effect. You can link them all, you can dislink them all. Doesn't matter, but basically you create a pylon, it can destroy doors, or it can stop people from running by, as it stops for you and your teammates so that you can get by for a bit. So don't worry about stunning yourself, just your enemies. And it's overall pretty dang nice and pretty dang good. She's boring to play because she's not very, because like the whole thing is basically like you get into a fight, you pop your fences, there's like no adrenaline basically. You just know that you're safe as long as you're out of way from the door, or that someone could be aiming down and destroy. Then they could just start shooting at you. As long as you're in a corner or something, they can't really do anything if you place your fence as well, so it's kind of boring to play. She's super defensive. There's not many ways I play her aggressively, but overall Wattson's a pretty boring character for me. Hopefully that changes with the rework in season 10, but in the meantime I give her like a B tier. She's not terrible, don't get me wrong. She's extremely powerful if you're into that type of playstyle. Like if you're pretty campy or you're rarely defensive, you can use her abilities with breeze. They're pretty easy to learn. They're like the fences. You can create a bunch of shapes. They don't even have to be in a line. You can just bop. You can link them all. Snap and put them back. Basically just overall like
laying fences.
Create connected fences, so you could just create like this little sphere right here and trap people inside if you want to. It's pretty nice, and there's not really much to say about Wattson, but that's her.
Thanks for not giving up on me.
Next up, we have the Season 3 Legends. Said to be one of the least played Legends in a while. In fact, I don't even see many cryptos out there. But yeah, as we mentioned, we have Crypto. Now, Crypto is kind of a one-trick pony. He he really only does one thing, but he's very good at what he does, which is basically drone reconnaissance. So basically, if you put him in a position, his tactical and his passive like coincide. But basically, if you put him in a position for a good distance, you can reveal bins, traps, and enemies in a spot. And overall, just fly around. I think that drone has like 30 health. You can go up or down. You can exit and just leave it there. New people are gonna go in, or you can re-enter it at any time, move around, or you can recall it. And basically, his passive is that unlike Bloodhound's like scan, like people could just look and see it, but it's not like they get like the little notification above like 3 enemies, 4 enemies. Your teammates can, as long as you can see them with the drone. So can your teammates, and basically you guys share information. It's just Crypto's the only one that can move it around, which is pretty nice. Crypto's actually pretty good if you're just into like moving a drone around. It's kind of boring, but you can use it aggressively, you can use it defensively, you can use it somewhere in between. You can use it at any point you want to, and he kind of fits all playstyles really. And then his ultimate is the EMP, which is not like Sombra's in Overwatch. No, this EMP, it's an actual EMP. If enemies have like traps or anything electronical, it will instantly be destroyed with this EMP. It charges up, it's got a good radius. It will destroy 50 of the enemy's shields if they still have shields on. And it's overall not a bad pick actually, if you're really into like reconnaissance and like moving your drone around, being able to get like being able to get an extra pair of eyes on somebody, or I guess. Then Crypto's your guy. I overall give him a B tier. If you can use him, that's great and all, but you're not really going to see him a competitive player or anything, just because there's so many other picks out there. And with that, we conclude Crypto.
If you're wondering about an afterlife, there is none.
Next up, we have Revenant. He just got a rework, but basically for his like a huge buff for his passive, which was very underrated. But basically, when it comes to silly sneaking up on enemies and just getting the kill, barely any players do it better than Revenant. Now, his abilities is that when you crouch, most people just move like this and they just move really slow, but Revenant can crouch walk at the same speed you can normal walk, which is pretty nice for sneaking up. Not to mention, when you crouch in this game, enemies can't hear your footsteps, so it's just a nice little sneaky beaky, sneaky baka. And then basically, I'm sorry, I'll stop now. But basically, the original thing was that this is like the normal height you could do people height, but like with Revenant, it was like 2 stories up. Pretty nice and everything. But now it's basically infinite. And what do I mean by infinite? Well, he recently just got hit with an ability that basically changes it forever, and it's damn near infinite. There's barely like any surface that you're not going to be able to climb with Revenant from how high he can climb now. You can climb 3 stories, 5 stories, 7 stories, anything really. Up till I almost just reached up there, and that's like 15 meters, which doesn't sound good, but that's like just about the max height of any building you're going to see in this game that you can actually enter and go into. Even before that, it's pretty insane. And then his silence ability is basically the Sombra part of the EMP, where you hack, well, it's not like an actual hack, but basically it creates like a sphere. Enemies who get caught in it or are hit by it take about 10 damage, and they, for a short period of time, cannot use their abilities, whether it's passive, tactical, or ultimate. And if you catch like a Wraith or something in their tactical, or Crypto in their tactical, basically if you catch a legend doing their abilities with it, it'll stop it instantly. And then the ultimate is the Death Totem. So basically you enter it, and basically your health worth is as much death totem health you get, which is basically like when you take all that damage instead of just dying instantly. Like if I were to get hit by this thermite from an enemy and I get caught in there and I can't shake it off me instead of just getting knocked, I would go back to the totem with 50 health, which is where it spawned. You can only use it once and then after a while it goes away, but it's pretty helpful once it's actually there. It's a good amount of time as well, with a decent range. And then while you're holding a gun or using some sort of meds, you can use this tactical. Overall, if you're really into like basically if you're overall into just like letting your teammate be able to attack people without much consequence for his ultimate, if you're into sneaking, if you're into just canceling people's abilities, Revenant's really the one that does it the best. And with that, I give Revenant A tier. His passive is definitely extremely powerful now. I wouldn't say it's too overpowered. It might be slightly overpowered. Maybe like decrease is it by like, but yeah, basically like each one of these little bars is a story. So he did 1, 2, 3, yeah, about like 4 stories, and maybe like make it 3 or something. If you really want to nerf him or something at the moment, maybe make it so that so that like the overall health for your overall health in the totem you take like maybe like 5% increased damage or something. I don't want to give him any ideas, but overall his tactical is pretty underrated, but it's also not overrated either. It's nice and everything, but it's definitely not the main part of his kit that people like. It's mostly his passive and his ultimate. Overall, Revenant's a solid pick. If you just want to be toxic, he has some really good voice lines for stuff like that. You get 2 charges for your tactical, and overall, I'd say Revenant's actually a pretty good character if you fit that playstyle. And that's the Season 4 Legend Revenant.
I'm not done yet.
Next up, we have the thick butt queen herself, as some people call her. We have Loba. Now, Loba is known as like the thief character of the game. Basically, her passive is that you can see a purple, like you can see epic, legendary, and red items through walls for a certain range, which is pretty nice. You can also identify the stuff through stuff, so which is pretty nice. It's a nice little passive here in looting, and just overall nice ability if you're into looting. And then her tactical is a jump drive or
activated.
bracelet, which is basically like you can drop it at any time. It can go for certain ranges, but it overall just makes it so that you can teleport to that instant location. They can see the bracelet clearly, and there's a slight you can't do anything when you throw it, and there is a slight moment when you do land that you can't do anything either. Like that, I think it's about like 3 seconds. So for 3 seconds, you can't do anything, and when you throw it, you can't do anything. But if you just need to get from one location to another to be safe or something, or you just want to take the risk and make that aggressive push, you can do that. As for the ultimate, is the Black Market Boutique. Yes, it's called that. Basically, you drop it, and within a certain range, it will allow you to pick up weapons, armor, attachments, everything from around the area. And here's the actual cool thing. You get 2 items you can take nearby. So let's say I want this longbow and I want the extended sniper mag for it. But oh no, I used up both my slots. How am I supposed to get the ammo for it? You can take as much ammo as you like as long as it's in the area and you can feel your spot. You can take all the ammo you like from the Black Market Boutique. So even if you use up your 2 slots, it still has a bit of value to it, which is a pretty nice addition. And overall, if you're really into loot or just moving around and getting stuff, or you just want to go 3D and just shake it or something, I don't really care. But overall, Loba's a pretty solid pick. I give her like B tier. The boutique is really nice that you're able to take as much ammo as you want without having to use up one of your slots. It's overall a nice thing. It's Loba's kind of balanced at the moment. Maybe they could decrease it's like the velocity of like your break, to make it like a second or two more before, or it can reach like the fully thrown status. Like before it gets all the way there, maybe decrease it a bit because it's kind of fast. But that's just an idea if you need to nerf her. I don't really think you need to nerf at the moment, but overall, pretty nice legend. And that is the season 5 legend, Loba.
Yep, I'm here. I'm back. Don't ask questions.
Next up, we have the season 6 legend, which one of my friends really loves, Fox Dancer. She's got her own YouTube. Go check her out if you want to. She makes like little sasusaku edits and whatnot. But basically, this is Rampart, the season 6 legend. Now, Rampart's basically the heavy gunner. She's kind of a light little package, decent hitbox, kind of short, but overall, I'm not going in offense or anything because for her little bullet, she can pack some firepower. Basically, as long as you're using like an LMG, which is the Devotion, the Spitfire, or the L-Star.
Right. Now this is what I'm talking about.
She'll give you like this little notification that you'll know. You'll get not damage. You'll get a slight increase in ammo, and the overall. Wait a minute. Oh, you get an increase in. Oh, that's actually like a new animation for the increase in reload speed. What happens if you go all the way and you empty the entire mag? Is there another new? Alright, not bad. I don't know if that's just a new animation for it overall or if it's the Rampart thing, but that's actually kind of cool. A little neato. Overall, Rampart's pretty nice when it comes to LNGs. And then that also pairs well with her tactical, which is amped cover. So basically, like this base thing right here, it could take 100 health, I think. This one could take about 300. It takes a bit for setup, but basically while you're on this side, you can't do anything. But while you're on the blue side, you can crouch and instantly get 300 for cover. You can't shoot back though. And then for this, you can shoot through this part. Actually, it only has 100, but you can shoot through it, and it does increase damage for shots going out, which is why it's called amped cover. So basically, the A wall for any like Titanfall base, for any like Titanfall 2 players in here. And then, just to add all that up, you can put down, I believe, 5 of them at the same time. 5, 4, I can't remember. I think it's 5. Don't quote me on it, though. You can just do this. You can put as quite a few. They don't take too long. And then her ultimate is Sheila, which is an in-place minigun, which might be getting changed Season 10. But basically, as you would expect, it's a minigun. You gotta charge it up, but definitely got some fire rate. And yeah, it's basically, you know, like heavy gunner, like when he's like or something, I don't know. But basically you can aim that, so you think, yeah, it doesn't have too much recoil actually, and it does really good damage. But the entire thing's kind of, it's mostly just to keep enemies in cover of her or take out a squad super quick. But it's not like you're just gonna be able to use this as like your gun for the entire game. It's not like you're gonna just be able to like walk around with a Sheila at all times and use this as your gun instead of like an R301 or a flatline or something. But overall, for an ultimate, this is kind of sweet. actually, and you feel like a badass on this thing too. Like you're, or like like if you're in like Die Hard or something, or like or like Predator or something, you're just like you're like the main character with like the minigun that's just spraying down like all the henchmen, like in a James Bond movie or something. You can just use the minigun for that, and you feel like it's like the Beach Boys in the background, like the Fall 76 trail. Wouldn't it be nice if we were older? I'm gonna get copyright strike for that, but I'm not making money off that. Credit to the Beach Boys, everything. Oh, bro, you feel crazy on this thing, and it packs a punch even without the amp cover. Like, let's just remove the amp cover and let's just see what it does without the amp cover. It can stand up for its own without the cover. It's just the cover lightly helps. You can destroy it and get a little bit of energy left. But overall, Rampart, if you're just looking to deal as much damage as possible as fast as you can, that's the legend for you, and that's also going to be pairing up with another legend that will be coming up. Pretty soon.
This is where it ends.